This young boy had a terrible habit of taking out his frustration on innocent ants. One day, he grabbed a water gun and blasted their colony over and over, sending the tiny creatures running in every direction. Even that wasn't enough to satisfy his anger. He stomped through their home, crushing everything in sight, then aimed a garden hose at the nest and flooded the entire colony, washing away everything the ants had worked so hard to build. Only when his mother called him inside for dinner did he finally stop. The reason behind his behavior was that a group of neighborhood bullies had been picking on him, so he released all of his bottled-up anger on the helpless ants instead. But what the boy never imagined was that the ants had a way to fight back. Their colony possessed a magical potion capable of shrinking humans, and they secretly decided to use it on him. Under the cover of night, several ants sneaked into his bedroom. After he drifted off to sleep, they poured the potion into his ear. Moments later, a deafening rumble jolted him awake. As he opened his eyes, everything around him looked unbelievably enormous. Even his underwear had become gigantic compared to his tiny body. Before he could understand what had happened, the ants surrounded him and carried him away. Their wizard brought him deep inside the colony, where a strange passage transported him directly into the ants' grand court. There the elder carefully listed every cruel thing the boy had done to the colony. After hearing all the charges, the court decided he deserved the ultimate punishment. Terrified, the frightened boy desperately pleaded for mercy. He admitted he had never believed ants could think or feel anything. To him, they had always been nothing more than mindless insects. Hearing those words enraged the entire colony, and many ants wanted to tear him apart immediately. Instead, the wise leader chose a different punishment. The boy would live as an ant until he truly understood their lives and learned to respect them. So he was forced to remain in their underground world. During one of the colony's daily food gathering missions, a swarm of bees suddenly attacked and stole their harvest. Without hesitation, the ant soldiers rushed into action, carrying stones together and hurling them at the invading bees until they drove them away. In the middle of the fight, however, the boy was stung by a bee. Another bee landed right in front of him, knocked him to the ground, and panic instantly took over. Instead of standing his ground, he turned and ran as fast as he could while the ants continued fighting. Later, the colony introduced him to one of their favorite foods. Curious, he took a bite and was amazed by the sweet flavor. He devoured it eagerly, only to discover afterward that the delicious treat was actually honeydew, a sugary substance produced by caterpillars. The realization left him completely disgusted. Soon afterward, the ants guided him through an ancient chamber filled with reminders of their history. They stopped before a massive portrait, and every ant respectfully bowed before it. It honored one of the colony's greatest ancestors. Nearby hung another frightening image that represented the insect's most feared enemy, a ruthless exterminator. The moment the boy saw the picture, he recognized the man immediately. He had already arranged for this exterminator to come to his house. Horrified by what he had done, he decided he had to stop the appointment before it was too late. He convinced a few ants to accompany him back to his home, but once they arrived, every ordinary object looked like an enormous wilderness. Even the carpet stretched before them like an endless forest. Crossing the room seemed impossible. Just as everyone was ready to give up, the boy noticed flower petals drifting through the air. An idea suddenly came to him. The group climbed onto the petals and let the breeze carry them across the room while the ceiling fan pushed them toward the telephone. Reaching the phone at last, he tried to call and cancel the exterminator's visit. Unfortunately, the buttons were far too large for someone his size, and he accidentally dialed a pizza restaurant instead. At that moment, his sister entered the room, forcing everyone to hide. While avoiding being seen, the ants grabbed bits of candy and accidentally created a huge mess around the telephone. Thankfully, they managed to squeeze inside the phone's tiny openings before anyone noticed them. Although they eventually escaped safely, one ant badly injured a leg during the journey. When the colony's wizard learned they had secretly gone back to the human house, he became furious. Believing the boy had once again acted selfishly and endangered everyone, the wizard expelled him from the colony. Now completely alone in the dangerous wilderness outside the nest, he quickly discovered how helpless he really was. Before long, a gigantic frog spotted him as easy prey and swallowed him whole. Back at the colony, the wizard eventually realized the boy had only wanted to protect everyone from the exterminator. Filled with regret, he rushed out with the others to rescue him. Unfortunately, by the time they arrived, the frog had already eaten him. Refusing to give up, the wizard bravely entered the frog's stomach carrying the antidote. Once inside, he poured the magical liquid into the creature's belly. The potion worked almost instantly, and the frog vomited everyone back out alive. Exhausted but safe, they spent the night resting beneath a giant mushroom. The following morning brought even greater danger. The exterminator finally arrived, prepared to wipe out every insect around the house using powerful chemicals and advanced equipment. The colony knew they faced certain destruction if they did nothing. Amid the panic, the boy came up with an important plan. If they could somehow spray a little of the shrinking potion into the exterminator's ear, they could defeat him. But because they were so tiny, facing a human directly was impossible. To improve their chances, the boy and the wizard approached the bees and proposed a temporary alliance. Once they explained that every insect was in danger, both sides agreed to fight together. The ant warriors climbed onto the backs of the bees, carrying tiny containers filled with the magical potion as they flew toward the battlefield. The first attack team rushed in bravely, skillfully avoiding clouds of poisonous spray while charging straight toward the exterminator's face. But when they finally reached him, they discovered he was protected by heavy safety gear that completely blocked the potion. The man quickly retaliated, unleashing another blast of insecticide that nearly wiped out the entire first wave. At the same time, the boy searched for another opportunity to strike, but the exterminator suddenly swatted the wizard aside. While dodging repeated attacks, the boy landed on the man's head, slipped onto his nose, barely managed to hold on, and escaped by the narrowest margin. Even so, the exterminator continued overpowering everyone, covering the battlefield with deadly poison. Looking at his struggling friends, the boy refused to surrender. With unwavering determination, he urged the bees forward through the dangerous fumes. Their courage never faded, despite the overwhelming odds. After reuniting with the wizard, the boy quickly devised one final strategy. They carefully loaded a small amount of shrinking potion into a bee's stinger. As soon as the exterminator stepped into position, the bee darted forward and injected the potion directly into his body. The effect was immediate. Within seconds, the enormous man shrank down to only a fraction of his original size. The bees instantly chased after him, turning the tables completely. Following their incredible victory, the boy was awarded the colony's highest honor and finally accepted as one of their own. At last, he drank the restoring potion and returned to his normal human size. When he crossed paths with the neighborhood bullies again, he no longer backed down. From then on, he regularly shared food with his tiny ant friends, never forgetting everything they had taught him. The ants also remembered his remarkable journey forever, proving that every living creature, no matter how small, deserves kindness, respect, and admiration.